You think becoming a US citizen means you're safe forever. It doesn't. The government can reopen your entire immigration history, yes, many years later, and try to take away your citizenship. As you know, the Trump administration is now targeting naturalized citizens to strip them of their citizenship. What does that mean? Are you in danger? Who can get denaturalized? These are all things you want to know, I guess. There are a number of reasons you can get denaturalized. Let's go over them. Number one is illegal procurement of naturalization. This means the person was not legally eligible for citizenship at the time that it was granted. Common examples are the person did not actually meet the continuous residence or physical presence requirements. As you know, those are things that you need to have in order to become a citizen. Or they lacked good moral character during the statutory period, but this was not revealed to USCIS before. They were not lawfully admitted for permanent residence. Their green card was improvidently issued. Their underlying green card was obtained improperly. What the government must prove in a case like this is that the person failed to meet the statutory requirements for naturalization. As simple as that. The deficiency was material and not just technical. If they knew this, they wouldn't have given him or her the citizenship. The error was significant enough that citizenship would not have been granted if USCIS had known the truth. Here, the standard of proof is extremely high, clear, unequivocal, and convincing evidence, slightly lower than beyond reasonable doubt. Number two, concealment or willful misrepresentation of a material fact. This is one of the most common grounds, people hiding stuff. If someone lied or hid important information during the green card process or during the naturalization process, the government can argue that citizenship was fraudulently obtained or improvidently given. What are the examples? Failing to disclose arrests or criminal record. Concealing prior deportation orders. You came in with a different name, were deported, and never mentioned it. Lying about material history. Failing to disclose children that you had. Hiding membership in certain organizations, for example, the communist or the Nazi organization. Providing false testimony under oath during the interview that later comes out. What the government must prove in this case is that a false statement or concealment actually happened. The person acted willfully and the fact was material, meaning that if the person had told the truth, the result would have been different. It influenced the result. The person actually procured citizenship as a result of this. Materiality is key. Minor inaccuracies that would not have affected the eligibility are not usually enough. It has to be something more than that. Number three, membership in certain subversive or prohibited organizations. This is the third reason. If a person was affiliated with certain organizations within the 5 years of the naturalization and concealed the affiliation, they can denaturalize him. A lot of people who were Nazis in the years past got denaturalized in this. A lot of people that were communists also got denaturalized like this. Now, terrorist-related organization membership is a big one for this one, so be careful. What the government must prove is membership or meaningful affiliation, that the membership fell within the statutory prohibitions. For example, you served your army stint with the IRGC. They were not a terrorist organization, but then they became a terrorist. They were marked as a terrorist organization. This could be a definite reason. Now, number four, a dishonorable military discharge after naturalization through military service. If that's how you got your green card, and then later on you were dishonorably discharged, they can take away your citizenship, although at the time they granted it to you, you were still serving. If someone obtained their citizenship on honorable military service and then later is discharged under dishonorable conditions before completing their service, this could cause this to be triggered. In this instance, the government has to prove that the citizenship was granted based on qualifying service. That's an easy thing to do for the government. The service obligation was not fulfilled. When you haven't finished your service or were dishonorably discharged, well, that's hits the target. The discharge was under dishonorable conditions within the relevant statutory period. Now, the next thing that we have here, number 5, is participation in human rights violations or war crimes. What does this mean? If someone concealed involvement in genocide, torture, extrajudicial killings, or Nazi persecution denaturalization is possible. I had a number of clients that during the El Salvador war had served the army, and later on it came out that they had information was revealed that they had actually participated in torturing others or killing others, even during their military service. And these people were targeted for all kinds of stuff, from taking their green cards away to denaturalization. And what the government has to prove in this instance is that the person engaged in disqualifying conduct. Now, what does that mean? They misrepresented or concealed it. And also, the conduct made them ineligible for the visa or the green card or naturalization had it been known before. These cases often rely on historical records or documentary evidence. So this comes to light, you're in trouble. Important legal standards the government must meet. I want to make this clear. This show here is not to scare you. The government has a high burden, and you have to go through trial and all kinds of stuff. Before the government can succeed in your denaturalization, there has to be a federal court action. The case must be filed in U.S. District Court. A judge has to decide the outcome. So it's not one and done. There is a high burden of proof that the government has to show present, clear, unequivocal, and convincing evidence. Court describes this as a very heavy burden because citizenship becomes a fundamental right the moment you have it. There is strict construction in favor of citizens. Doubts are resolved in favor of the naturalized citizen. So if it's a questionable issue, you're in luck. You're a U.S. citizen. They rarely take away citizenship, despite the fact that the Trump administration is trying to do it nowadays. This is the thing I was going to tell you before. Unfortunately, there is no statute of limitations for fraud-based cases. If fraud or illegal procurement cases exist, the government can file this even decades later. And they did this against Nazis who had kind of dissolved themselves into the U.S. Life, and they were discovered later on. Now, what does denaturalization do and doesn't do? It revokes citizenship, for sure. The person reverts to the prior immigration status, usually lawful permanent resident. But the same thing that took away your citizenship can take away your lawful residence status most often. And if the green card was obtained with illegal means, which later on also gave the opportunity for you to become a U.S. citizen, they'll take away the green card as well. So this is a very hot area nowadays. You have to be careful about it. In some cases, criminal charges can also be filed separately because you have lied to the government. Denaturalization doesn't automatically mean deportation, but it often is the first step. So if they denaturalize you, and then later on it avalanches into getting your green card away, and then later on it avalanches into taking away your green card, they can also put you in deportation proceedings. So this is something you have to be careful of. All right, folks, thank you so much.